Montana DNRC out of the Southwestern Land Office in Missoula. And also helping tonight are Bridget Mancini, who is also with the DNRC. She is our Fire Adapted Communities Coordinator with Ravalli County. There's Bridget. And Anna Bateson is also helping. She is the Fire Prevention and Education Specialist with the Bitterroot National Forest. So I have about a 15 to 20 minute presentation that will start, and then after that we can go ahead and field some questions. If you do have questions while I'm going through the presentation, feel free to put them in the chat. Anna and Bridget will be watching that and can answer some of those questions right away, or we will bring them up at the end. We are recording this, thanks to Anna and Bridget, because I forgot to push the record button. But we are recording this, and so we will do our best to make that available on our website afterwards. So if you have any information you want to go back and visit, we'll have it for you. Let's see. Okay. So I'm going to share my screen, and hopefully this works. My desktop has decided to be a little persnickety. So hang on there. Give me a minute and cross your fingers. Okay. Can everybody see the Ravalli County Rooted in Fire and Adapted to Fire?
Yes, we can see it.
Okay, thank you. Uh-oh. So why are we here tonight? Well, we are here to discuss our transition of the current Fire in the Root outreach campaign into a formal Fire in the Root Wildfire Council. We are going to, or I'm going to provide you information on what a council is, like what all this entails, why we felt it would be appropriate for Ravalli County, and what are the next steps? Where are we going to go from here? And as I go through this presentation, you can play around in your mind with what part will you play? Where do you fit in? And what would you like your role to be? Because there's actually a lot of options. So what is a wildfire council? Well, primarily it's a community-based. So it's a local-based, grassroots-based, local voices organization. It's collaborative. All these voices, many different people sitting around the table working together. And it's this organization that has the objective to make communities less vulnerable to catastrophic wildfires. They do this by raising public awareness, by motivating residents to take positive action. They provide expertise and resources, and they accomplish this through public education and outreach, doing special events, and especially active involvement in federal, state, and local fire mitigation efforts. In many ways, they are the coordinator that brings all these efforts together. So they're all working together to this common goal of helping communities adapt to fire and making them less vulnerable to these catastrophic wildfires. It's not a new concept. Councils have been around since the 90s, and the first Fire Safe Council was created back in 1990. California has a number of them. Here in Montana, we also have the Montana Fire Safe structure that has a number of our counties and communities that have councils. And I have a list of them up here. There are other successful councils that have been around for a very long time, the West Region and Grand County in Colorado. And some of these are multi-county councils. And so we have drawn on a lot of their experiences in the movement towards creating one here. So why Ravalli County? Why did we think about a fire council for here? Well, the big red blob over here kind of explains it all. Ravalli County is at risk. And if you look at the highlights of the tables, what matters most is the fact that Ravalli County is the most at risk county in Montana. The Montana Wildfire Risk Assessment came out with a final report in May of 2020, and it is very heavy analysis laden, lots of data, but their consensus was that based on a number of factors that Ravalli County had the greatest risk out of all counties. And when just looking at risk to structures, Ravalli County has 6 communities in the top 10 communities with mean risk to their structures. That's a lot of risk. And it's not just dotted through the county. The whole county is pretty red, has pretty high risk. I'm probably not telling you anything you don't know, but the data at least backs us up. In 2019, the Bitterroot National Forest did a comprehensive wildfire risk assessment, similar to the Montana one we just looked at, and determined that there is a 51% chance or greater that fires that escape initial attack on 520,000 acres of Forest Service land will reach a structure in Ravalli County. So the black dots here are structures, and what we're looking at are the lands from yellow to orange. So from this yellow mark down to orangish red, any fire that starts in there that escapes initial attack that they are not able to suppress has a greater than 50% chance of reaching a structure in Ravalli County. That's a pretty high chance. Knowing that fire councils are a successful, proven way of helping communities to reduce that risk, to work to adapt and coexist to fire, led us to think of that as the solution for Ravalli County. Currently, we have our Fire in the Root outreach campaign. It provides outreach and serves as a hub for wildfire preparedness information. It's driven by a few key players, and it's done a lot of great things, and it's very important, but it's not enough. The risk is huge, and addressing wildfire risk is a shared responsibility. There are a lot of great organizations doing a lot of good in Ravalli County, and that coordination, working with everybody to combine our resources and work towards this common goal of helping Ravalli County residents and communities coexist with wildfire, is probably the only way we're going to match this risk. We all are affected by this, and we all shoulder some of this responsibility. So let's work together, and let's make sure that all the voices that need to be at the table are at the table. So we took those characteristics of a fire council and we said that's what we need. Let's work towards that. Collaborative partnerships, getting those stakeholders that are affected by wildfire and this wildfire risk. Let's all sit down at the table together. Let's make sure they're local voices. I work out of Missoula and I cover 8 counties. I don't pretend to know what is best for the Bitterroot. And I think what's best for the Bitterroot is for Bitterroot voices to be identifying their needs and the barriers and what will work best for the Bitterroot. And my job is to support you in that effort. So having those local voices work together. Coordination, getting all those pieces that are out there with the same goal. Let's all work together and attack this beast together. Consolidation. The Wildfire Council will actually take the place of the current Fire in the Root membership, but also the WUI task force that was put into place for the creation of the 2005 Bitterroot Community Wildfire Protection Plan, or CWPP. And so we're in effect becoming a little more efficient and making two organizations into one. And that means taking two meetings and creating just one. So it's not a new organization and adding a new meeting. It will be actually consolidating, which is a really good thing. It will help enhance local capacity. Capacity is often one of the biggest barriers to getting work done on the ground. We have 13 fire districts that are all volunteer, and we need to find a way to help those men and women address the risk in their areas. They all have day jobs and do a lot of work on their own time, helping our residents reduce their fire risk. So let's see how we can help them out. And many resources, pulling resources together, we can create a much bigger toolkit than we have with just a few key players working in different areas. Implementing and supporting updates of the 2005 CWPP. This is really important. A CWPP is a guiding plan for how to address wildfire risk in a certain area. Ours is very outdated and needs updated, and there is funding potentially available to update the Ravalli County, the Bitterroot CWPP, but there has to be a framework in place to drive that process, and this council will provide that framework. The council can also continue to outreach and engage residents. It's not like the Fire in the Root outreach is going to go away. It's just going to be exemplified now and bolstered by enhanced capacity. A definite need is for this Wildfire Council to be self-sustaining. Two notes. One is that myself and Anna and Bridget are working hard at facilitating the creation of this council. We've really pushed this concept and worked to get buy-in and ownership with a lot of our key players and partners. But the intent is for this council to be self-sustaining and not directed by state and federal agencies. We truly want this to be locally driven, and we are here to support and help, but not drive the process. Also, a part of self-sustaining is having a system set up so that it's not dependent on a few key people, so that if they leave, the whole structure crumbles. We really want it to ideally find funding so that we have a paid coordinator. This has been a critical piece for the most successful councils that are out there, is they have a paid coordinator that's dedicated to the council. And so that would be something that we would strive for to help the council be self-sustaining. And overall, the most important thing about this council is the desired outcome would be action to help Ravalli County residents and communities coexist with fire. So we're not changing any goals. We're just making it hopefully a lot more reasonable to attain. So here's a look at some potential members of our council, stakeholders who have an interest or could have an interest in reducing wildfire risk in Ravalli County. There's a lot of bubbles out there. And that makes it messy too. There are many fire safe councils and councils that have just a few key members, and it's streamlined and it's easier because there's very similar like-minded people in the council, but not all the voices are represented. And we do feel very strongly that even though it might be messier, it's important that all the voices are heard, that all the barriers and all the needs that are out there are addressed, because when the decisions are finally made, it's a collaborative effort and it represents all of Ravalli County. And I think that is going to have a very good chance at success. And that's what we want. We want action done on the ground. So how does action look like in a council? Well, it's this ongoing collaborative cycle. We convene this collaborative team in the dark green, which is our council. We assess our conditions and capabilities. What resources do we have? What capacity do we have? What funding do we have? What are our issues? What are the risks out there? What are the priority areas that we need to address? Then we plan a program and projects to achieve these goals, and we put them into play. We accomplish that risk reduction. We track our progress and outcomes. We make sure to measure what we're doing and the outcome of it. And we sustain those and we maintain the efforts. That's one thing about mitigation, reducing this risk. It's not a one and done sort of thing. It is something that needs to be maintained. And this circle is iterative. It keeps going because we will keep having new issues pop up, and we will keep assessing new conditions and planning new projects. And so it will be a self-sustaining process that keeps us going. The ultimate goal, of course, is a fire-adapted Ravalli County. Those of you who know me, I have a love-hate relationship with this graphic. It's a lot to take in, and it's really hard to read all of it. But the most important thing, and why it's a good graphic at the end of the day, it shows how many factors there are involved in creating fire-adapted communities. Every aspect of our community is represented somewhere in here. And that's also why it's really important to have those voices as part of the council, because they're somewhere here on this wheel. And it takes all of us working together to create that inner red circle. We have to move from the position of escaping the fire and putting out all those fires, because fire is inevitable and we have phenomenal suppression forces out there. But fire is inevitable. It will come. But the fact is that losing homes to fire is not inevitable, as Dr. Jack Cohen loves to say. And so I think our best path to creating a coexistence with fire is adaptation. And the best way to do that is through a fire council, that collaborative local organization working together. So our next steps, securing membership for the council, defining organizational structure, mission, and goals. And remember, the key to this too is that it's not me or Anna or Bridget deciding this. It's not the Bitterroot National Forest deciding this. The council will be deciding this. We are facilitating getting all these members together, and then it's those members, it's the council's job to decide how the council is going to be structured, what the mission is and what those goals are. Then we're going to be identifying objectives, priority areas, funding, and projects. Ideally, hopefully, the council will decide to find funding and hire a coordinator, because that is a key element of successful councils. And then hopefully we're going to get to work and we're going to get some action and mitigation action done on the ground. you are welcome to be an active member or cheer from the sidelines. We need both. We need people to sit on that council. We also need people to be our cheerleaders and spread the word of what's going on and just listen in and pass it along. So whatever you choose to do is fine. That's what we need. The very first council meeting is going to be a week from tonight, Wednesday, April 14th. It will be from 6:30 to 8:30 p.m. at the Victor Fire Station on Meridian, the new station. And we are also doing it via Zoom. So hopefully there's no logistical boundaries to that. If you are going to attend in person, we would love just an email, just because of COVID, to make sure that we're not exceeding the parameters for our meeting area. So just let us know at the email you see at the bottom of your screen. Also, if you want more information on anything I've talked about or just the council Zoom meeting information, fireintherit.org is our website and has lots of information. You can also follow us on Facebook. We are pretty active there and post all the information and we'll continue to post there. So let me peek at my notes and make sure I didn't forget anything. I think we're good. I'm going to stop sharing. And now we can go to some questions if we have. I don't get to see the chat while I'm doing that. Okay, so there are links. I forgot to mention, Anna and Bridget have been awesome at putting some links to some of the fire councils and important information that I was mentioning in the chat, so you can go there. Mike had asked, what do we have on the local government level to help us out? We have representation. The Ravalli County commissioners are definitely on board with the creation of the council and will hopefully be a voice there. The Office of Emergency Management Services, Eric Hoover and Fran Graham have been awesome to work with and a part of this process since the beginning, and they are definitely on board. The county sheriff is on board and supportive, but we need to keep moving forward and make sure we have a lot of voices on board. Let's see. Yes, and one thing with sharing the video, sometimes it requires you to sign into Zoom to get the video. So hopefully that won't be an issue, but yes, we can share the video with whoever wants to, and we'll try to put a link on our website to the video. Let's see, okay, if you've reached out to be a member and you haven't heard anything, you should have received actually an email last week on our an invite to the Zoom meeting that's occurring next week. So if you have reached out and haven't received anything, Bruce will take down your name, but we'll be sure to get you that information. If you are interested in becoming a member or just want to keep hanging in there and seeing where this goes and want to attend the meeting next week, on our website, fireintherit.org, there is a Google form, which is just like a questionnaire. There's a link to that. Fill that out. That information automatically goes into a spreadsheet that we create an email list from, and we will make sure to get you the information. One thing to check is make sure it's not sitting in your spam folder somewhere, because that does happen sometimes as well. So look for the email, but we will send another one out. And if after tonight you haven't filled that Google form out but want to, go to the website and we will send you information on the Zoom meeting for next week. It will also be posted on the website so you can get it directly there. If you haven't heard from us, send us an email. We are happy to hear from you and don't want to miss out on including you, definitely. Perfect. Excellent. And yeah, we definitely welcome the membership. And Anna has put a link to that Google form in the chat, so you can click there if you haven't put that in already. And we did learn that there is a Hamilton board meeting that, or a Hamilton evening that, a Hamilton meeting that evening. We were hoping we weren't going to butt into it, but it looks like we are a little close. So if you still want to be a part and we will try to record that meeting, but just as long as you let us know you want to be a part of the council, you'll still remain in communication. We'll send you all council information so that you can stay in tune. Part of what we're going to discuss that first council meeting or try to assess with another Google form are the best meeting dates and days of the week and times. So hopefully we can find a time that avoids some of the major meetings that are going on in the county.